So tonight, I want to absolutely welcome all of you. My name is Lenka Holman, and I want to welcome all of you to the 1 Million Women Take Control series. I want to thank you all for taking a little bit of time to learn a little bit more, connect in our extensive community. We are here from all across the country. I would love if you all put into the chat what part of the country or countries you might be from. I'm coming in here from sunny San Diego. It is still pretty light outside. Some of you are probably already in your PJs, ready because you're on the East Coast. But I can say whether you are here in daylight or dark, you're going to be enlightened. We have some phenomenal speakers this evening, and this specific topic, we actually have some guest speakers, which I'm very, very excited about. And with so much rich content, I would like to potentially ask us to just go ahead and get started. Our first guest of the evening is actually going to be Miss Meg Pye. Please, there she is. And what is going to surprise all of you, this lovely lady has been in this industry 19 years. Yes, she started when she was 2 years old.
You're sweet.
But Meg is one of our partners, and she has been phenomenal resource in a topic that has been a bit of a mystery to a number of individuals, basically most of us. And that's because there are thousands of rules that deal with this particular system that we are all looking forward to and depending upon. What is that? Social Security. So, Meg, I don't want to take any more of your time because I know you have very rich content, and I am going to let you take it away.
Wonderful. Well, ladies, good evening. Thank you so much. I echo the comments. We appreciate you taking some time to be with us this evening. Thank the Wealth Wave team for having me, your wonderful partners, and it's my pleasure to share some education and my thoughts around Social Security. It is one of the biggest decisions that someone can make, and it's very, very important for women because of a few reasons. Number one, the issue that women live longer than men, statistically 5 to 7 years longer. And the reason being that Social Security is such a critical decision is that's a guaranteed income stream every single month for potentially another 5 to 7 years longer than your partner at home. So making sure that you make an educated and informed decision, that is such an important piece of the retirement puzzle. And then also the caregiver obligation. That also creates a little bit of a hiccup in the Social Security decision making because a lot of women have a misunderstanding of, hey, listen, I've been a stay at home mom my whole entire career, or maybe I worked prior to having children, but I haven't been in the workforce, Meg, for 30 plus years. I don't think I'm going to collect Social Security. So just knowing the rules behind if you're eligible, if you're not, and making sure you know the rules behind spousal and divorce and widowed benefits. So that's what we're going to cover this evening in my short time that I have. And I'm pretty sure that Lenka's going to be my Vanna, and she's going to move me forward in my screens. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you to just push me forward as we talk about Social Security. Wonderful. So, knowing about Social Security and understanding that you are entitled to your own benefit, even if you don't have 40 years in the workforce, you actually just need 40 quarters, which is the equivalent of 10 years of work in order to qualify for Social Security. Now, that could be at any point in time in your career. My mother-in-law, as an example, she has a Social Security check of $700 a month. And she raised my husband and my sister-in-law, but other than that, she didn't have any sort of working history. But she did work prior to giving birth and having kids, which allows her that 700 and $750 a month. Now, what she didn't know and what she's super excited about is she is entitled to 50% of my father-in-law's check. Now, the good news is, ladies, is that if you are currently married, you are entitled to at least 50% of your spouse's check if that gives you a pay raise. So if we do some easy math, let's just say that your check is $1,000 and your husband's check is 1,800. Well, you're over that 50% limit, which means that you're not going to get a pay raise. But in my mother-in-law's example, her check is a little under 750. So for easy math, we'll just round it to 750. Her check is 750. My father-in-law is 2,200. So that means that she is getting a pay raise. She is getting $1,100 versus the 750 that she was getting because she's entitled to 50% of her spouse's check. Now, he's alive, he's well, he's full retirement age, he's collecting his check. But the kicker is, ladies, is that in order to get 50% of your spouse's check, you must be full retirement age. And full retirement age stands for, it's FRA, FRA. That's the lingo in the Social Security world. But that is your entitlement age. Can you take your Social Security early? The answer is yes. Everyone is entitled to Social Security at 62. However, what sometimes they fail to tell you, or what folks are failed to be educated on, is when you take your check at 62, you get a 25% haircut for the rest of your life. So if you did 25% of $1,000, that's $250 gone a month for the rest of your life until you're dead. That's a lot of money that you missed out on by taking your Social Security at 62. So the reason that my mother-in-law can get 50%, which is the full benefit, is that she waited until full retirement age to be able to collect. So knowing the rules of, are you eligible? Do you have your 40 quarters? And the answer is yes, then you are entitled to your own check. But also knowing the rules that you're entitled to 50% of your spouse's check while they're alive is also pretty important. Can you push me forward one, please? And this is basically what this slide is showing you. So 50% of your spouse's check at full retirement age. If you take it early at 62, it's going to be reduced, as I just mentioned. Now let's talk about divorce before we get into survivor, because divorce, unfortunately, over 50% of Americans are divorced in this country. So let's talk about divorce. You have to be married to your ex for at least 10 years. That's the bare minimum. You got to hit that 10-year number in order to get that check. If you are married to that ex for at least 10 years, you are entitled to 50% of their check while they're alive. And you're also entitled to their your survivor check after they pass. But the kicker is, you yourself cannot be remarried. If your ex chooses to get remarried, that is not your problem, and that does not affect the rules in Social Security. So let's just say I was married to my ex-husband for 15 years. I am now full retirement age of 67. And I never got remarried. He did. He has a new wife. He has a new wife who's been married now for 10 years. I am full retirement. I am 67. I am entitled to 50% of his check. Not in addition to mine, but getting me to that 50% of his check. And if his check was 3,000 and my check was 1,000, I'm going to get a pay raise to 1,500 to get me to 50% of my ex-spouse's check. His wife is also going to collect off of him. And me, the ex-wife, is also going to collect off of him. Multiple spouses can collect off of one individual. But the kicker and the important piece, ladies, is you yourself cannot be remarried. If you are remarried, you have no access to your ex. You now are responsible, your current spouse is responsible for you as far as survivor benefits and spousal benefits. Okay, now let's go to survivor benefits. So spousal benefits is while they're alive. Survivor benefits are after they pass. You are entitled to 100% of your deceased spouse's check. But if we did a little trivia, when are you entitled to 100% of that spouse's check? At full retirement age, remember? Because if you go and take that check early, you are going to have a permanent reduction in that check. So it's critically important that you work with someone, financial advisor, you, someone, colleague, a mentor, someone who knows Social Security, who can help you make an informed decision. Because if you don't need the income, don't take the income, because the income is going to permanently be reduced. And that additional income is going to increase your tax bracket. So not only are you getting less income, but now your taxes are going up because you have additional income coming in. And oh, by the way, not for tonight's discussion, but maybe hope another time my Wealth Wave team will have me back. Your Social Security affects your Medicare, and your Medicare premiums change when your Social Security changes. So if you don't need the income, girls, we don't take it, right? Because it's not going to help. That permanent reduction is not financially worth it. So, can you take your deceased spouse's check at 62? The answer is yes. You can actually take it at 60. So, when you lose a spouse, you can actually take the check at 60. 62 every place else, 60 at death. Okay. So, spouse passes, I'm 60, I'm entitled to my husband's check. I'm not going to get 100% if I take it at 60. I could get a reduced check of 25% and I can take it whenever, if I needed it at 60. But the other thing to consider as well is you could start taking your benefit and switch over to the deceased spouse's benefit later on, or take theirs and switch over to yours if it's more money. So you do have the ability during the survivorship to go ahead and switch benefits from yours to your deceased spouse's if it warrants more money. And the other thing is you actually have access to this, Social Security. You get 75% access to Social Security if you are caring for a child under the age of 16. So if that death does occur early on in life, extremely unfortunate, but you would have access to that deceased spouse's check early if you have a spouse under the age of 16. Can you move me forward, please? Okay. So things to consider as I wrap up, because I don't have a lot of time, but I'm going through the most important pieces for the discussion for this evening. Number one is 40 quarters. If you've worked at least 10 years, my friends, you are entitled to Social Security. You didn't have to work for 50 years to get it. As long as you paid into the system for that 10 years, you're going to get something back. It might not be much, but it's going to pay for something. You also need to know FRA. FRA stands for full retirement age. That is the age of which you are entitled to your full benefits. Can you take it early? The answer is yes. But know that a permanent 25% reduction is going to stay with you until you die. And if you do the math on that, I'm not going to do the math for you, but you can. You realize that that's hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially that you're leaving on the table. And during retirement, that guaranteed income is going to be important to help you pay the bills and all the things and enjoy retirement and living. Also, know that you're entitled to your spouse's benefit even while they're alive. I think people forget, like, oh, I'm going to get my husband's check when he goes, when he passes. You actually can get your husband's check while he's alive, and it doesn't affect his. His is not going to be touched. You're just getting up to 50% of theirs. And do know, I'm talking to a group of women and I focus on women, but this applies for husbands too. So the husband actually can qualify for 50% of your check if you're the breadwinner in this scenario. So by no means am I excluding the men in the conversation. I'm just speaking to us ladies. You are entitled to your spouse's check while he is alive. Now, after he passes, you are entitled to 100% of his check. But when? Full retirement age. Your full retirement age, you are entitled to 100% of that individual's check. The good news is that you can take yours and switch to his if that's going to be more later on, but you're not going to get the full benefit if you take it early. And then last, let's talk divorce. Remember, you cannot be remarried. He can be remarried as many times as he wants. That's not going to affect what your benefit looks like. You are still entitled to 50% of your ex spouse's check while he's alive and 100% of the check after he passes. So, those were the three things that I wanted to cover: qualification, spousal benefits, and widowed benefits. I know we might have a few extra seconds for questions. I don't know if we're going to take them now or if we'll just get them on the back end. But that was my discussion for this evening. So I hope that you found that impactful. You took away something that you didn't know. But I will turn it over to my team at WealthWave to see if there's any questions or if we're just going to hold those off. It's totally up to you. I have time.
Well, Meg, I have been watching the chat and I haven't seen any specific on this. I
Okay.
think what I'm feeling in what I see going back and forth is, wow, this is a lot of information.
Mhm.
And it
Oh, yes.
changes,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Oh, yes. I mean, there's hours of data, hours.
So, one of the things is as it is changing, what we find is that we need to stay up to date. So, staying in this community of individuals who are consistently staying up, because I remember in the Bipartisan Act of 2017, a huge change happened, and we were up to, because a number of us on this call are registered Social Security analysts. And by being part of this community, ladies, each and every one of you can get to an expert who won't have to go through all of these lists, which probably made somebody's eyes cross. They can say, hey, this is my situation. What does it mean? So, Meg, I really want to thank you so much for spending your time to having hubby take care of the little ones so that you could
Yes.
be here with us
I
today.
don't hear any screaming, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, yeah. I think that he did okay. I think we're good. So thank you so much, Meg. And we're going to go ahead and go on to the highlighted speaker of the day.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So, ladies, I get the honor to introduce Kim Schooler. She is not only an inspirational woman, but I can call her a good friend. Somebody who has stepped up for us all in times of need, somebody who is working to create wonderful topics. She has actually written a book. It's behind me, hint, hint. And she is going to go over a very specific, necessary topic that I am very happy to introduce the creator of this 1 Million Women platform, Miss Kim Schooler.
Well, thank you so much, Lenka. It's always great to be here with everyone. And I really appreciate Meg going through that information with us. You all can see, it's complicated. Knowing when to file for Social Security or Medicare, what helps, what hurts, when you should claim. Um, the Social Security doesn't let you know that you might be entitled to a higher benefit when your ex-spouse passes away. So it's kind of on you. A lot of the responsibility falls on women, not only to care for our families as we do, to make our way in the workforce as we do, or academically as we do, but there are just so many things that we as women need to understand more, which is why Sharon Lechter and I really thought it was important to write this book, a book about how money works for women and to provide some really practical advice for women. And there is a chapter, Hope's chapter in the book, that covers a lot of the things that Meg Pye just went through about when to claim for Social Security. What if you're divorced? What are the rules around being a survivor? All of that. And so we cover a lot of that information in the book. But there's a lot of really great news and some not so great news for women when it comes to money. Now, the great news is that by 2048, an estimated $124 trillion is going to pass in what economists call the Great Wealth Transfer, and most of that is coming to women. In fact, 54 trillion will go to surviving spouses, 95% of whom are women. Another 47 trillion will be inherited by daughters and granddaughters. So it's really important that we understand how money works. Now, in addition to inheriting from our grandparents, our parents, our spouses, our aunts and uncles, we've also made huge strides in academics and also the workplace. Today, women represent 60% of college students. That just blows me away that 60% of all college students are women. We are the future. We are the educators. 49%, almost half the workforce, is women, and we make up more than half of workers in professional careers. But, there's always a but. For women, one of the biggest buts is the pay gap. We earn just 81 cents for every dollar earned by a man. Now, that's actually down because of COVID. COVID took a lot of women out of the workplace. And so we lost promotion opportunities, raise proper opportunities, the ability to be appointed on really important projects in the workplace. And so that put us back. And so now it's 81 cents. And for Black women, the story is much worse, where they earn just 65 cents for every dollar earned by Caucasian men. Now, women point to a couple of big reasons to explain the pay gap. The first reason is a lot of women feel that they are treated differently by employers. But I would probably say the primary reason is we are the caregivers. We raise our children. Oftentimes, we're also responsible for caring for elderly parents, or maybe we have a sick spouse. Or even if our children are grown, if we have a special needs child, that requires a lot of care on our part. When you look at how that 81 cents actually translates into real dollars, let's look at median annual earnings. For men, it's a little bit more than $65,000, and for women, it's a little bit more than $54,000. So it translates into $11,000 less for women. And I don't know any woman who could not use an extra $11,000, especially if she's raising her children, if she's got people who are she's responsible for caring for. Now, over a 40-year career, that money, that loss, that gap adds up. It's actually $462,000 less that we have to pay off debt and $462,000 less that we have for retirement. So by the time we do retire, we'll receive just 77% of what retired men receive in Social Security benefits. So that information Meg just shared about leveraging your spouse's Social Security or your ex-spouse's Social Security becomes even more important. But for women, we really have to spend more time learning how money works and doing things that are going to help us overcome the pay gap and the retirement gap. And those are really big reasons why Sharon and I wrote the book. So, just a little bit about Sharon before I go on, my co author. Many of you know that she wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. She wrote 14 other books in the Rich Dad series. She served as the president of the Rich Dad Company for about 10 years before she left to join the Napoleon Hill Foundation, where she wrote Think and Grow Rich for Women, 3 Feet from Gold, Outwitting the Devil, just to name a few of her New York Times bestselling books. She consulted with 2 U.S. presidents on financial literacy matters, and she worked with Congress and is working with state legislatures to make sure that financial education is a regular part of a high school curriculum. Now, Sharon and I wanted to create a book that was easy to use and helpful for busy women, um, and kind of fun. And so, one of the things that we learned in researching the book is women report their number one financial regret is not investing more money. Now, if there's a pay gap that leads to a retirement gap, then we've got to really get good about investing our money. Now, there's a myth out there that you have to have a lot of money in order to invest money, and that's just not the case. You could save $1 a day. In a month, that's $30. In a year, that's $365, or $5 a day. For me, that translates into one latte. In a month, that's $150, or in a year, $1,825. Or maybe you could save $10 a day. For me, a latte and a muffin. In a month, that's $300, and in a year, that's $3,650. And that doesn't even take into account any investment gains that you might have gotten in that investment account. So let's talk about investing. And I'm going to share with you three basic principles. The first principle is the power of compound interest. Now, there are two kinds of interest: simple interest and compound interest. Simple interest is interest on principal and principal only. So if I loan somebody $1,500 for a 50-year period and I charge them 9% interest, at the end of that 50-year period, I would only have $8,250 because the interest is only earned on principal. But what if I charged compound interest like a lot of credit card companies do? Look at the difference in what the end result is. Everything else is the same: $1,500, 50-year period, 9% interest. But instead of interest growing only on the principal, interest is growing on principal plus interest. And so that $1,500 grows to be more than $132,000. So you can see how important understanding: am I earning compound interest or am I earning simple interest? Am I paying if I'm borrowing money? Am I borrowing money that's where the interest is compounded or where the interest is simple? And we go through that in the book. Now, the second concept that I want to share with you all is the time value of money. Now, let's look at this example of Sarah and George. So, Sarah started saving money when she was 22. She set aside $4,000 a year. She did it for 8 years in a row and then stopped. That money, that $32,000 that she had set aside, grew to be over 1.4 million by the time she turned or retired at age 67. Now, George, on the other hand, was a late bloomer. George didn't start until he was 30. He did the same thing. He contributed $4,000 a year, but instead of just doing it for 8 years, George did it until he retired at age 67. He contributed a total of $152,000, and that money only grew to be 1.3 million. Now, 1.3 million is nothing to sneeze at. It's never too late, whether you're 30, 40, whatever, set money aside. But this example just goes to show you how important it is to start as early as you can. So, what if you wanted to have $1 million by the time you retire, if that's your number? A lot of experts say the number today is closer to 2 million to retire comfortably. But let's just look at $1 million. If you want to have $1 million by the time you retire at age 67, if you're in your 20s, you would have to set aside a little more than $100 a month. If you're in your 30s, it's getting closer to $300 a month. If you're in your 40s, it's almost $750 a month. If you're in your 50s, it's over $2,000. So you can see how starting early can have such a huge impact on growing your money, especially for retirement. Now, third concept I'm going to talk about, and this is the only math I'm going to make you all do tonight. So this is called the rule of 72. And 72 is always the number. So you take the number 72 and you divide it by your interest rate. So say you've got your money in a bank account and it's earning 1%. 72 divided by 1 is 72. That means your money will double in 72 years. Now, I don't know anyone, man or woman, who has 72 years to wait for their money to double. So let's look at some other interest rates. Say your money is in a money market account earning 3%. 72 divided by 3 is 24. Well, that's a little bit better. Your money's going to double every 24 years. Maybe you're in another kind of investment vehicle earning 6%. 72 divided by 6 is 12. Well, that's much better. Or maybe you're earning 9% or 12%. 72 divided by 9 is 8. Your money's doubling every 8 years. Or if you're getting 12%, your money is doubling every 6 years. Now, I'll have clients say to me, Kim, where am I going to get 9% or 12%? Well, if you look at the historical performance of the S&P 500, you'll see that since the S&P 500 started, the average annual return is somewhere between 9 and 12%. So it is possible to get a return like that, but I highly recommend that you work with a financial professional who's going to help you understand what kind of risk you're comfortable with, because I don't want people to rush out there and take on a lot of risk to get a higher amount of return. I want you to just understand these principles and apply them in a way that you're comfortable so that you have the money you need for whatever financial goal you have. Now, tonight we're talking about retirement, and that there's a lot more responsibility on women to save for our retirement because of that pay gap and that retirement gap. So hopefully these principles will be helpful to you. Now, a lot of women are risk averse. We put our money in the bank, it's safe there. We're not comfortable with taking on any risk. But the banks aren't paying 1%. The banks are paying something closer to 0.15%. So let's apply the rule. 72 divided by 0.15 is 480 years. So whatever money you have in the bank now, if it's earning 0.15%, that money, $1 won't turn into $2 for about 500 years. And you probably don't have that much time. And several generations down probably doesn't have that much time. But the rule of 72 can also work against you. So the average new credit card interest rate is around 22.44%. So how fast is the bank's money doubling? The banks are so anxious to have us get a credit card from them. 72 divided by 22.44 is 3.2 years. So let me get this straight. My money in the bank is doubling every 480 years, but the bank's money on that credit card they encouraged me to take, their money is doubling every 3.2 years. So this is a really great, huge, stark example of why understanding how money works is so important, especially for women. Now, when we sit down with someone, especially women, to help them plan for what it is they want, whatever their financial goal is, and again, tonight we're talking about retirement, we start with the 7 money milestones. Now, these are the 7 components of a solid financial plan. Every one of them is important, but some are going to be more important than others, just depending on where you are in your life, where you are in your career, where you are in your family. It all starts with financial education, with what you're getting tonight. And, if you get a chance to read the book or do your own research, the second milestone is about making sure that you and your family have proper protection in place in case anything happens to your income, your savings may be an important asset. The third milestone is emergency fund, saving 3 to 6 months of income in case there's an emergency. And this is so important. 75% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and many of them are women. Step one to breaking that cycle is to put an emergency fund in place. Because if you are living paycheck to paycheck and an emergency comes up, what happens? You have to borrow it. You put it on a credit card, or you borrow it from a friend, or you do a payday loan or a car title loan, something like that, in order to cover that expense. And so an emergency fund is step one to breaking the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. Next is debt management. And in the book, we've got some really great ideas on how you can reduce your debt. The next milestone is cash flow, understanding the money coming into your household and the money going out. If you've got more going out than is coming in, you've got a cash flow problem. Now, what you want to do is increase money coming in and decrease money going out. And we've got a lot of great ideas on ways that you can do that. The sixth milestone is building wealth. This is where you set your goal, you put a time frame on it, and then you put a plan in place to accomplish it. A long-term goal would be retirement. So, or it could be short term. You could be a little older like me. And so retirement is getting closer and closer, although I can't imagine ever retiring. But it's one of those goals that wherever it falls on the time frame for you, write it down, put that time frame down and then start saving and investing towards that. And then the very last milestone is protecting wealth. You've worked so hard to take care of your family, to get financially stable, to accomplish the things that you wanted to financially. Let's make sure that you've got an estate plan in place so that your loved ones will follow your wishes in terms of how you would like to have your wealth used and distributed for the future. Now, in the women's book, and I would have to say, we are just finished our third printing of the women's book. We sold out of every book that we had, and the third printing, which is the second edition, is available now, which is it's got a lot of updated information in it. It's got a couple of new sections in it. So even if you've read it before, you want to get the new book to make sure that you see kind of what's happened since we wrote the book in 2023. But we tell the story. We talk about the basic financial concepts and the seven money milestone through the stories of nine characters. And they're all at different ages, different stages, all of that. As I mentioned earlier, the Hope character is 62 and she's figuring out Social Security. So if you want to learn a little bit more about what Meg Pye covered, go to Hope's chapter. We've got a lot of great information about that. But we cover all kinds of things that women face, all kinds of situations that women face in the book. So I encourage you to get a copy of it, especially the new one, and read it. One of the most important things that I can share with women, and if you have this understanding about how money works, is this is a path to create, grow, protect, and pass on wealth. I'm doing it for my family because I know how money works. I know the other financial professionals I work with, especially the women financial professionals, are doing this as well. And so I encourage you to follow those seven money milestones to start applying those basic concepts to your saving and investing, and to understand that even though there might be some gaps, some pay gaps, some retirement gaps, whatever the gap is, it is not nothing that we cannot overcome together. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Linka Holman. Thank you, Linka.
Oh, thank you, Kim. And I see so much going back and forth about the book. Trust me, I'm going to keep you all waiting because there might be a little surprise at the end. Just saying. But we've seen a tremendous amount of fantastic information, statistics, realities that sometimes women have felt, oh, it's only me. Well, it's not only you. When the book was being written for the very first time, I had multiple clients' conversations where they were telling me a story and they thought it was only me. And I said, would it surprise you that a book is being written right now by someone who doesn't know you and is telling your story? So that's what this book does. It tells the stories of the women that we see every day. And you may see yourself in one of those stories. So, for this next part, I have the absolute privilege of having somebody bring one of those stories to life. Candy Martin is an agent with us who is also a very smart tax professional, way beyond the spreadsheets are way beyond me. So I thank you for your skill set so that I don't have to do it. And I would love to actually have Candy come in and share and make one of those characters come to life. Thank you, Candy.
Thank you, Miss Linka. Um, Shout out to all the beautiful ladies out there taking the time, and guys, I see there are some guys in the chat as well, for making the time to come out and learn. And I do ask one thing of each of you: don't save the information. Get with the person that invited you. Share the replay link. There are so many people that need this information. And so, with that being said, that kind of sets the stage for where I'm going next. When Meg was talking earlier and Miss Kim just now, I was like, I didn't know that. I was still taking notes. And I don't care how often we hear it, we will always hear something new. So you definitely want to make sure you share. So thank you, Linka. Thank you, Ms. Kim and Meg, for sharing that wonderful information. So one of the things I get the honor and the privilege to talk about is how money works for women, of course. In the vein of retirement, we talk a lot about taxes and being business owners. And so in the next couple of minutes that I have, I'm going to do my best to tie the two together. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start off by posing a question, and I want you to ask yourself, I want you to do some self-reflection. If you decided to start working tomorrow, would your money continue working for you? And what would that look like? So in the book that Ms. Kim just spoke about, I'm excited to, I was blessed to get a revised copy of it on last week at our Green Carpet Day for Women. And so I'm excited. I've already started reading it. But Maria, she is a certified public accountant and she had been working for a company. And, she said, you know what? I want to start my own practice. I want to do my own business. And I get that a lot. A lot of women come to me or I meet them out in passing and they'll say, you know what? I think it's time for me to take my skill set and start my own business. And there are approximately 14 million women-owned businesses right here in the US, accounting for over 40% of all the US businesses. Now, I am going to give you a few numbers because I'm a numbers person, but don't worry, there's a story that's going to tie it all together. And with that 14 million, only 25 on the high end, 25% of women have dedicated retirement plans in place. And so to kind of to bring that number to life, out of 14 million, only 3.5 million have some sort of retirement plan. I hope that they all get with someone like Meg or someone like Kim to say, hey, let's double check, am I positioned for retirement? And so so through my course of work, women say, I'm going to start this business. I make the best cookies, or I'm a beautician, and I style the best hair, or they own a daycare. You name it. So many different industries, and they're so busy doing the business, the talent side, such as whatever their gifts and talents are, they forget about the business side. And as business owners, even though you have this skill set and nobody can do it like you, we often forget about the back end. You will not have an employer pension when you start your own business unless you build it. You don't, your business, your cookie baking business, if you don't set up a 401k plan, you won't have one. And remember where Meg was talking about those Social Security payments that were stored up in those 40 quarters? If you don't set this up, you could miss it, when you start your business. And you want to make sure that you're going through the 7 money milestones. You want to make sure that you're checking all the boxes, because if you don't, you will not have it when it comes to retirement. You are responsible for creating your own retirement paycheck. And if you're anything like me, lady, it's nice to get a nice size paycheck. And so many women, we spend years building successful business because can't nobody beat us doing it. I mean, we're just amazing. And so while we're putting our businesses first, our family first, we oftentimes, unfortunately, as you read the book, How Money Works for Women, Take Control or Lose It, you'll see oftentimes we put ourselves last financially. We'll invest in inventory. We'll make sure that we have the best marketing strategy together, that we have the latest equipment, our employees are taken care of, our families are doing well. We'll make sure all of those things are in place, but we oftentimes neglect investing in ourselves. And don't forget the rule of 72. That is so important, so key, especially since we normally have either a pay gap or we have time off from work for things like maternity leave and taking care of our spouses. And so when those things take place, it directly affects what we are able to contribute into our retirement plan. So you want to make sure that all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. But here is the good news. Financial freedom, on the downside, financial freedom doesn't just happen by accident. We have to design it. And the good news is it's never too late. I saw in the chat earlier, someone said they wish they would have found this out years ago. I'm right there with you. I mean, if we could just rewind the hand of time. However, we're going to take this information that we're getting tonight and we're going to apply it and we're going to move forward with it and we're going to apply it and we're going to share it and we're going to make sure that everyone knows it. And so, like I mentioned, oftentimes I sit down with new business owners, or some they've been in business a while and they're ready to do a refresher, like, hey, let me check and see where I am. And so what I like to do is to sit with ladies, guys too, but mostly women, and because we are talking about how money works for women, and the topic tonight is retirement. And so I just have this heart and this passion for entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I want to make sure that they are getting what they need. And so I'll ask a series of questions. I'm not going to go through all of them for the sake of time. I'm just going to pick a few. And the very first one says, do you know how much money you need to retire comfortably? You go through that Summit Money milestone. It's in the book. Get with the person that invited you. Get with one of us. Find out what are the 7 steps? Where am I? That is going to help you find out what is your retirement number, your financial independence number. You need to know that number. And we're not going to just throw paint on a wall and we're not going to wing it like, ladies, we know how to wing it. We know how to make things happen. But when it comes to your financial freedom and your financial future, we are going to sit down and plan it. Just like we plan vacations, birthday parties, weddings, we can plan a meal. We're going to plan for our finances. And then I'll skip down and I'll pick this other question. It says, am I protecting my income if something unexpected happens? Look, I know nobody wakes up and says, you know what, today would be a great day for me to go out and get in a car accident and then end up in a coma. Nobody says that. But what if it does happen? Do you have things in place for this business that you've been building for the last 10 years, the last 20 years? This business is a baby, your blood, sweat, and tears. Do you have something in place to protect it? Nobody thinks, hey, me and my best friend, I get this a lot. We're going to start this business and we're going to be a partnership because we're best friends since 3rd grade. And then it doesn't work out. Do you have something in place, a key man policy? What is that? Find out. Ask the person that invited you. You do need to know what that means. And then my all-time favorite topic that I get asked a lot, what about taxes? I'm starting this business and I'm great at what I'm doing and the money is rolling in. People are buying my product or using my services. It's flying off the shelf. Life is grand. And then you get this tax bill. Are you set up properly to where you're reducing your tax liabilities? You're not overpaying in taxes. Now, we do want to take care of the things that we owe. However, I don't think Uncle Sam needs more of our money. I think he's okay. So we got to make sure that we set things up properly. And yes, I know we don't always start off on that right foot. I've had business owners that come to me and everything is just, disarray, they're unorganized, expenses just going here and there. Talking about a retirement plan, they haven't even thought about that. And so I want to put it on the mind of every woman on this call. If you know any small business owner in your community, the lady that's making the jelly, the lady that's the seamstress, the lady with the Fortune 500 company, call her and share this replay link. Say, hey, there is something that you need to double check. Take a picture of this screen, share it. Let's ask the questions. Let's have those hard conversations, ladies. And the very last one that I'll ask for tonight is, have you reviewed your retirement plan in the last 12 months? Linka mentioned earlier that just a few years ago, we had to revamp a whole lot of things because of some legislation changes. Trust me, years ago, 12 months was a lot of time. Now you blink twice and we're already 3 years ahead. In 2030, we're going to be making an even bigger impact as women. And so I definitely hope that something was said or shared here tonight from all of the presenters and even here that get you to thinking. I want you to read that book. Go to Maria's chapter. If you're a business owner or if you're thinking about starting a business, go and read that chapter on Maria first. Take some notes. call up the person that invited you and let's have the discussion. It's never too late to start over, and it's always a great time to start. So I'll turn it back over to you, Lincoln.
That was great. And you know what? It's great because it's real. It's people. It's stories of women who we really know. And I will bet that each of you can say, you know, I know that one person reminded me of someone. So, with that, I see the chat blowing up. Yes, ladies, you are ready for the good stuff. I am going to go ahead and share a little bit of a closing with you today. So, these are the stories. These are the stories of the women inside these books. This version has fleshed out and helped us get deeper into the lives of these women. And I'll bet if you look at it, you might even say, huh, I know somebody is like that, and that somebody is me. So we want to share this information. We are not gatekeeping. We are not trying to hide it by making it a prohibitive to get this book. We are giving these books out. And it's done in this community. This community, every single month, we get online on Zoom and we connect with all of you. Invite a friend. If you found a great hairstylist, if you found a terrific movie or a fantastic restaurant, you wouldn't try to keep it a secret. So don't keep us a secret. Let's reach our goal of talking to, educating, and empowering 1 million women. On that screen, there is a QR code that can connect you to this community on a deeper level. These are the dates for the future. And by the way, we talked about a lot of intense stuff today. What about next month? We make it a lot more fun. What if the stories that we talked about is what does it really mean to be financially free? Not the restricting parts, but the freedom that each and every one of us can have. And by connecting to this community, we're going to guide you in that path. All kinds of opportunities, so many ways for you to connect to us. On the left, I saw requests for the replay on this. All of that is on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. We're going to consistently add content so you can stay informed and find out. Let's say you're busy, you can still stay informed. Then we have our QR code that's going to help us connect with this community. That's in the center. Last but not least, and this is what we were hinting to more than a little bit, is the seminar feedback form. That's how we can connect with you and potentially get you a free book. The second printing, and so I stand second version, not second printing, is the third printing of this book is now available. And on this screen, you see excuse me, a QR code so that you can fill out a feedback form because we want to listen. We want to have this to be an absolute connection conversation so each and every one of you can get the stories and the questions answered that you are looking for. So each month, we actually give 5 free books to individuals on this webinar. So I get the honor and privilege, and if you want to do a drum roll, please. I'm going to announce, and I'm not sure if any of the ladies are here again this month as they were last month, but these are the 5 women who won a free book last month. Latanya Scranton, Tracy Zimmerman, Angela Nelson, Katie Nehoda, And if I trashed your name, I sincerely apologize. With a name like Lenka, I try to honor your names. And then Cynthia Macbeth. So all those five filled out the seminar feedback form. That's how we know where you are and how we can connect with you and how we can give you a gift of a free book. So please, leaving it on there for a little longer. So grab your phone, wherever mine is, somewhere, and scan it and open up that link so that you can fill out that feedback form. Let us know how we're doing. Are we hitting the right notes? Is there a topic that's a burning interest? Because this is our community. Whoops. Oh, there we go. And these are our ladies. These are our ladies. These are the stories that each one of us can connect with. They're real. They might be characters, but they're real. Just like each and every one of you has your story. So please, sometimes we even have the opportunity of in-person events in addition to this Zoom. And that's where the magic really happens. Because we get to know you. We get to know your story. And we get to really help you where you are at. I am going to go ahead and stop this share. Kim, I'll bring you back up to see if you would like, stop share. If you have any closing messages for us today. I couldn't see the chat in the last little bit, so if there are any questions that we need to answer, I'll offer you the opportunity to do so.
Well, thank you so much, Linka, for hosting this June's virtual event for 1 Million Women Take Control. I really appreciate all of the women, in the field who join us every month, who, attend these really great sessions. We really try and put together a wonderful agenda that addresses a hot topic like retirement for women, something that's really relevant to what you're trying to accomplish. We really want you to fill out that survey because we want to get better and better. We want to find ways to improve the message and the communication with you. So please do fill out the survey form. We welcome all constructive criticism. There aren't any egos here. There are just a lot of women who want to help others. So I hope you all have enjoyed tonight's offering. We just heard from some really great people, starting with Linka and ending with Candy. And certainly Meg Pie was a huge asset for this event. But we look forward to seeing you all in July, where, it's Independence Month, where we get to talk about being financially free. And so thank you all for being with us. Fill out that survey form. That's how we determine the five women who get a complimentary copy of the book. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.